There's something unsettling about country roads after dark. No street lights, no traffic, just miles of gravel disappearing into blackness. Most roads are simply a way to get somewhere. But according to generations of Nebraskans, one lonely stretch of road near Nebraska City isn't a destination. It's a warning. Tonight we're traveling to one of the Midwest's most infamous haunted roads, Seven Sisters Road. Welcome back to Midwest Shadow Files. I'm Dan, your host and Midwest Shadow Files storyteller. In tonight's file, we take a quiet road with a dark reputation. By daylight, L Road in Otoe County, Nebraska appears almost ordinary. Rolling farmland stretches for miles. Tree lines separate fields. Small hills rise and fall gently across the Nebraska countryside. It's peaceful. And if someone drove this road in the middle of the afternoon, they'd probably wonder why it has such an unsettling reputation. But ask longtime residents of the area about Seven Sisters Road, and chances are they've heard the stories. Some refuse to drive it after sunset. Others laugh them off as campfire tales. Still others will quietly tell you something out there isn't right. Like many Midwestern ghost stories, nobody can point to exactly when the tale began. There's no newspaper headline announcing the murders, no surviving court records, no death certificates identifying seven sisters who were murdered along the road. Researchers have searched local archives for years without uncovering evidence that the crime in the legend ever occurred. But that hasn't stopped the story from growing. In the common version, a farmer's son murders his seven sisters, one by one, leading each over a separate hill, hanging them from separate trees. Another version replaces the brother with an abusive father. Another says the sisters were buried beneath the hills themselves. Each storyteller adds another detail, and every generation inherits a slightly different version. That's often how folklore survives, not because it's historically proven, but because it's unforgettable. People began claiming the road itself was haunted. Drivers started reporting that their vehicles would suddenly stall at the same stretch of road. Others claimed headlights dimmed for no mechanical reason. Some said their radios filled with static. Whether coincidence or something stranger, the stories kept spreading. Perhaps the oldest claim involves hearing a woman screaming. Visitors describe hearing cries echoing across the hills despite no houses being nearby. Some say it sounds distant. Others insist it sounds frighteningly close, like something standing just beyond the trees. Several reports even mention hearing crying that suddenly stops the moment they step outside their vehicle. Is it the ghost of the Seven Sisters? Another recurring report involves bells, not church bells. Small metallic ringing. Witnesses describe hearing faint bells somewhere in the darkness with no visible source. The sound reportedly drifts across the fields before fading into silence. And then you have one of the stranger stories coming from drivers who claim they weren't alone. Several witnesses describe seeing glowing red eyes watching from the hills. Some insist they belong to an animal. Others claim the eyes were far too high off the ground, remaining perfectly still before disappearing altogether. No photographs have ever confirmed these reports. Still, the stories continue. Could it be the ghost of the Seven Sisters? In 2020, a paranormal investigation team documented an experience while visiting Seven Sisters Road. After parking and shutting off their truck to listen for activity, the vehicle suddenly refused to restart. When it finally did, they noticed the smell of something burning. Soon afterwards, smoke began coming from the truck. They left immediately. According to the investigators, the vehicle experienced no further problems after leaving the area. They also reported sudden temperature swings and unusual readings on paranormal equipment. Of course, none of this proves the road is haunted, but it certainly made an impression on those involved. Maybe the ghost paid them a visit. And perhaps the most common report isn't visual at all, it's emotional. Visitors frequently describe an overwhelming sense that someone is watching them. Some feel compelled to leave immediately, others say the road becomes unnaturally quiet. Even skeptics have admitted the isolation of the hills can create an eerie atmosphere after sunset. Whether psychological, environmental, or paranormal, it's an experience many people remember. And Seven Sisters Road has a haunted way of burning into your memory. More on Seven Sisters Road right after this. Dan here. I want to give you a quick glimpse on what we have coming next. We had two of our listeners write in and ask to hear more about two different subject matters. The first one comes out on Monday, and this is regarding a strange paranormal phenomena occurring in the UP of Michigan. For quite some time, there has been a mysterious light or orb that has been haunting the Upper Peninsula called the Paulding Light. Nobody knows for sure what it is, and of course, paranormal investigators have researched it. Scientists, of course, offer explanations as well, but the mystery remains. A light that appears, moves, and suddenly disappears. We'll get into that on Monday, and on Wednesday, we were asked about some of the haunted schools and colleges around Iowa, which there are numerous, so we'll get into the ghost stories surrounding those schools. It's a fascinating story that we can surely do with each state around the Midwest. Every school has a good ghost story tied to it, but we'll kick this one off with the College Ghosts of Iowa on Wednesday. It's always good hearing from our listeners. If you have something you would like to share or something you would like to hear, we'd love to hear about it. You can drop us a note at midwestshadowfiles@gmail.com, midwestshadowfiles@gmail.com. But for now, let's get back to the story. What's the deal with haunted roads? Nearly every Midwestern state has one. Gravity Hill, Crybaby Bridge, Dead Man's Curve, a lonely cemetery road. These places become stages for local fears and traditions that collect over generations. Some of these legends begin with a real tragedy. Others, of course, grow from rumors or campfire stories. Everyone likes a good ghost story from time to time, right? And some begin as little more than teenagers daring one another to visit a place after dark. Seven Bridges Road belongs to that tradition. Whether the murders happened or not, the fear certainly did, and over time people began claiming the road itself was haunted. Which brings us something to ponder: the psychology of fear. One question investigators often ask isn't whether ghosts exist, but why certain places make us expect them. Whether this is the Villisca Axe Murder House, the Squirrel Cage Jail in Council Bluffs, and of course, you have the Zombie Road around St. Louis, which we covered in another episode. Driving alone at night changes how we process the world. Every sound becomes amplified, and every shadow demands attention. When we already know a frightening legend exists, ordinary events can take on extraordinary meaning. A branch scraping the side of a car, wind passing through trees, each becomes another piece of the story. That doesn't necessarily explain every report, but it helps explain why legends like Seven Sisters Road has been around for a while. Whether Seven Sisters Road is haunted, or simply haunted by its own reputation, depends on who you ask. The murders described in the legend remain unverified. The stories, however, are very real. They're shared online, passed from parents to children, told through podcasts like this one. And every year, another curious driver turns onto that lonely Nebraska road, hoping to discover whether the legend is true. Maybe they'll leave with nothing more than a good story. Maybe they'll leave convinced that they experienced something that they can't explain. Either way, Seven Sisters Road has already accomplished what every great legend hopes to achieve. It makes a regular country road feel a little more irregular, a little more stranger, spooky, and sometimes that's enough to keep the darkness alive. Have you explored Seven Sisters Road? Did you experience something unusual there? Or do you think the legend is simply another piece of Midwestern folklore? Share your story with Midwest Shadow Files. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, keep your flashlight close. Keep your eyes open. And remember, there are roads you drive once and forget. Then there are roads like Seven Sisters Road, places where stories become traditions, traditions become warnings, and warnings become legends. Whether the hauntings are real or simply the result of decades of storytelling, one thing is certain. When the sun goes down over the Nebraska hills, very few people choose to stay out at night on Seven Sisters Road. This episode was written, recorded, and produced by me, myself, and I. I'm Dan, your host and Midwest Shadow Files storyteller, and this is Midwest Shadow Files.